It's another beautiful morning here in the city of Jos. Good morning and welcome to Voices from the Mind. My name is Miss Daniel Chukwemeka. First, and apologies for starting behind schedule, and we had to do some technical stuff. But you know, whenever we're here from 9 to 10 a.m. on Fridays, we give you informative and educative information, especially when it concerns small and artisanal miners. On the show today, in commemoration with Children's Day that happened on Tuesday, we have some children with us here, some young adults, or like they say, the leaders of tomorrow, more like the leaders of today, who will be sharing with us their thoughts, their opinions on climate change, what they understand by it, what roles they think they can play to ensure that we have a better and safer Earth in the coming years. My name hasn't changed yet. I am Miss Daniel Chukwemeka. And on the show today, I've got with me a young man and a young woman, if I'm allowed to use that word quite loosely there. They are from Padua Academy. They are here today from Padua Learning Academy. And I've got with me this morning Olabode, Ayomide. Good morning, Ayomide. How are you doing today?
Good morning, I'm fine, thank you.
It's good to have you. I also have with me today Adeiza, Zacchaeus Jr. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
It's good to have all of you on the show with us this morning. For those of you listening to us, you can be a part of the conversation by going to our social media platforms on Facebook at JFM Jos and on Twitter at JFM Jos. Go there, drop your thoughts with us. The phone lines also will be open later on at the other side of night, so you can call in and share your thoughts with us. And maybe you have a word or two for the children we have with us in the studio today. Let us hear your thoughts. Let's hear your opinions. This is still Voices from the Minds, and we're looking at climate change from, a children's perspective. What do they understand by it? How do they even get involved in climate change? All of this and many more will be our topic of discussion today. Go nowhere, we'll be right back. Let's do a formal introduction of them. So I'll start with the lady, like they say, ladies first. I'll start with the girl. What's your name? How old are you? And what do you love about nature?
My name is Ayomide Olabode. I'm 10 years old. I love everything about nature, from the flowers, the clouds, the animals, the trees, and to the fresh air. Everything about nature is just beautiful.
It's just beautiful. Let me come to you. What's your name? How old are you? And what do you love about nature?
My name is Adeiza, Zacchaeus, and I am 10 years old. What I love most about nature is the wonderful sounds from the birds, the fields, the wonderful clouds, the beautiful trees, and the fresh air.
And the fresh air. I'll go back to Ayomide. When you say you love things about nature, has there been any time in your life, any points where you experienced nature in its finest form, and when was that?
Yeah, I have, and it was the colorful flowers, the soothing sounds. It just felt I love the green nature,
And the green
everything
nature.
green.
Which is
Yeah.
great. What about you, Zacchaeus?
Yes, I have had wonderful times in nature. When I feel down, I just go to nature, breathe the fresh air, and look at the clouds.
And look at the clouds. All right, Ayomide, we're talking climate change today. What do you understand by climate change?
Okay, I think climate change is the scientific and long-lasting changes in the Earth's atmosphere.
In the Earth's atmosphere. What about you, Zacchaeus?
Climate change, in my opinion, is the long-term changes in the atmosphere.
In the atmosphere. All right, now when we talk climate change, I'm sure as students you will certainly have been taught some things about it. We've got I would say two important parts about climate change. There's the climate and there's the weather, right? So the climate is the long-term effect, right? The weather is the short-term effect. When you are, let me not say when you're told. When you say effect, what kind of effect are you talking about? What do you mean by effect? Let me start with you. What effect are you talking about in regards to climate change?
Like the changes in the weather temperatures, the drier conditions, the rainfall, and the sunshine.
Okay, there's those changes.
Yes.
Those changes, are they usually good changes or bad changes in the context of climate change?
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Zacchaeus, what about you?
Okay, so the effect it has on animals and humans.
The effects this climate change has on animals and humans. All right. I'll still say with you, Zacchaeus. She made mention of the different weather changes. What are some of the common weather changes you have noticed with regards to climate change?
Like we have the temperature, the unexpected rain,
Okay.
and the super hot days we have.
Super hot days. Interesting. Um, Ayomide, he of course talked about temperature changes and super hot days. Has any of this in any way affected you as a young person?
Yes, it has.
In what way?
When we want to have, as children, we want to play outside in the sunshine, enjoying the feeling of the fresh air and nature.
Yeah.
It just, like he said, unexpected rains. It just starts raining and it just spoils our day completely.
Completely. All right, just still lots of voices from the minds who speaking with our children, this morning on what climate change means to them and what are some of the effects of this climate change to their lives, especially as children. If you're listening to us, you can be part of the conversation by calling to the studio lines on 090-5566-6699 or 081-218-77777. Also, we don't go on in a spiral. Just for clarity, for those of you listening to us right now, are probably thinking, how does this really change anything? Well, it is important that we have these conversations with these children because, like somebody said, like I already said, there are long-term changes in the weather and climate of the world. And if we are not careful, if they are not involved intellectually and also in doing the work necessary, they might believe in a world where everything is not as it's supposed to be. Now, for the average person out there, climate change, like they have both said here, is the long-term changes in the weather conditions of a place. So let's give a simple example. Some years ago, at this time of the year, Jos is usually very cold. However, a lot of things has changed. People keep asking, why is there no cold? Why are the rain seemingly acting quite shy and don't want to come out? It is because over time, a lot of things have happened. Over time, changes in the environment have happened, and these changes do not just happen just because. These changes happen for certain reasons. We'll talk about those reasons when we come back from our commercial break. You're still on to Voices from the Minds, and today we are speaking with children on their role and what they understand by climate change. Like I said before, you can be a part of the conversation by calling to the studio lines on 090 5566 6699 or 081 218 77777. We'll be right back. People know when. We are still on to Voices from the Minds, and this morning, like you heard us before, we're speaking with children from Padua Learning Academy. We're talking about climate change from a kid's perspective, what it means, and everything in between. Ayomide, have you been told or have you been taught what causes climate change, or the reasons why we have these different changes in the weather conditions?
Yes, I have.
What are the reasons for this?
Because the effects by humans using of herbicides, because it's also one of the effects posed to the ozone layer.
Close to the ozone layer. Zacchaeus, what about you?
Yes, I've been told that
And what are some of the reasons why we have climate change?
because of the lack of interest in nature
Okay.
and the burning of refuse, and also when humans just litter
Yeah.
and they don't care about picking it up.
Seriously, say with you, Zacchaeus. When you talked about two important things for me, I think we often gloss over as adults, is that things like dumping refuse not the right way, just dumping refuse anyhow. Why do you think adults do this? Why do you think humans are not careful with nature?
They actually think that nature is just nothing.
It's just
They actually think nature just stays there. But we have bad effects and good effects about our nature, and
Nature.
that should be cared.
should be cared for. I mean, what about you? Why do you think adults, in this case, humans, are nonchalant? Why do you think they don't care for nature as they should? Especially like you mentioned, herbicides, which is something that can be good in some sense, but in the long run have detrimental effects. Why are humans not as careful as they should with nature?
I think it's because they think nature is just there for them to do whatever they like, and they don't know that it's one of the effects of climate change, which is why children need to be taught this also so that they can make a better place for and make a bright future for themselves.
Make a bright future for themselves. Of course, as you guys have heard from the kids, we're talking about the things that humans do that ensures that the climate and weather that we used to know is no longer that way. And just to reiterate what Zacchaeus said, the fact that your illegal dumping or your nonchalant jump dumping of refuse and whatever it is doesn't affect you now doesn't mean it doesn't have an effect on other people across the world. I'll give a typical example for those of you who might be thinking, we do have a to put our dirt. Every time you dispose your dirt indiscriminately, you go drop it somewhere, what you are doing in essence is you are saying to nature, we don't care what you have already designed for us, we are just going to do whatever we want to do. And like Zacchaeus also mentioned, those dumping of waste anywhere, anyhow, also has detrimental effects to people in other places. There are certain places that will be blocked because of your waste disposal. There are certain things that will not happen. Water will not flow as freely as it should. And some people will be affected by some of your actions because even though you personally, directly are not affected, other people in other places that you don't even know get affected. So Zacchaeus, what are some of the effects, beyond just the atmosphere, what are some of the other effects of climate change that you think people are not aware of?
Some effects include that animals actually lose their homes. Humans think that their homes are strong enough, but they don't care about the animals we have. For example, we have dogs on the streets that have lost their homes and are now looking for food in the trash, and no one cares for them.
No one cares for them. I mean, what about you?
Please, can you take that?
Yeah, my question is, what are some of the effects, other than the atmospheric changes, of humans' actions on our climate or on people?
Okay, one is the killing of animals, and they lose their homes, which is why we need to stop killing animals because it's also one of the effects.
One of the effects. Alright, just to all the voices from the minds, we're speaking to Ayomide and Zacchaeus this morning on their thoughts and perspective on climate change, what it means to them, and what are the effects, the things that you adults do, you and I do every day, that is detrimental, harmful to the environment. So let's go on another commercial break. Like I mentioned before, the phone lines are open. I want to hear from you, if you're a child listening to us right now. What are your thoughts on climate change? Have you even heard of climate change before? What does it mean to you? What are some of the things you can do as a child? What are the things you think, what are some of the responsibilities rather you have as a child to ensure that we have a safer, healthier environment in the future? This is still Voices from the Minds, brought to you by Ziva Community Initiative. We'll be right back. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and your location?
My name is Moko Gudu, calling from the world.
Please go on with your contribution.
Thank you very much. Let me appreciate for all the students they are so clever, and this is a good, we have a judge for why event. Definitely, I still have hope for Nigeria. Because this kind of people that made Nigeria better by God's grace, because you on your parents. Let me start with the issue of the climate change. Children can do a lot. Like he mentioned, what we need to do to make our climate, to the climate, like he mentioned, solar and planting of trees. I agree. I could remember when I was a child, we used to plant some like this mango and other things in front of our house. There's a certain tree that I could remember. I personally, I planted in the front of my father's house. And still now, it grew up like the people are living under it now. I'm still calling that people should encourage the planting of trees, and also we should be careful about the kind of toxic trees that we use to inside water. This was our environment. God bless you and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much. God bless you too. The phone lines are still open, 090-5566-6699 or 081-218-77777. We're talking with Ayomide and Zacchaeus from the Padua Learning Academy today. We're talking about the perspective on climate change. What does climate change mean to them? How do they see it? What are some of the things they have learned? What are some of the things they can do to ensure that we have a healthier earth, not just now, but also in the future? So Zacchaeus, you made mention of, telling your parents to turn off the lights when it's not in use. Do you sleep with lights on?
No.
Why don't you?
Because it actually affects the eye in the morning.
Okay.
So I don't think it's proper to sleep with the lights on.
I mean, what about you? Do you sleep with lights on?
No, I don't, because as you're sleeping, the power unit will drain.
Okay. So Zacchaeus said something that I just want to, go back to it. He talked about planting trees. Has any of you planted any seedlings before?
Yes, I have planted apples,
Apples?
tomatoes, and I think they're actually growing.
Oh, they're growing. Hey, but what about you? Planted anything before?
Yes, I have. I've planted apples also.
Apples also?
I've planted potatoes and
Potatoes.
pepper
And pepper. Wait, these plantings, were they in school or at home?
at home.
At home. What about you, Zacchaeus?
At home.
At home. Interesting. But let's pick one more call on the show. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, sir. Your name and your location.
My name na who dey do us, calling from Terminus.
Who they do us? Please go on with your contribution.
Na government dey do us. My own interview of climate change is, you see, we should learn how to plant trees. Like my house, because my compound, see a lot of trees that I planted. And another thing is, our people should learn how to listen to government in terms of this climate change, because people will build and block the drainage. And we are talking about climate change. When the rain fall now, everywhere we will block, drainage block. So our people should learn how to plant trees in their compound, in the community, so that it will fall in terms of when we are talking about climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling Who They Do Us. Lines are still buzzing. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Your name and your location, please.
Good morning. My name is Jacob. I'm calling from Bukuru.
Please go on with your contribution.
Okay. It's the issue of climate change. There's a role that the citizens have to do, and the government also have their own role to play. But the government, I suggest they have major role to play. You see, if cooking gas is not subsidized, definitely people have to use firewood, and industries too must use firewood. Subsidizing of cooking gas and diesel will go a long way. And secondly, open grazing is contributing a lot to deforestation. For example, the growing trees or plants are being trampled by the cows that are being wandering.
Yes.
And even the people that are the herders also. At times, when you plant even a tree in your own farm, you see them cutting them down to their kettles. And we are overlooking that. Our attention is not even going to that. But I think those are the major things that are contributing to our deforestation, which leads to the climate change. Okay?
Please hold on, before you go on, you've talked about deforestation, probably one of the things, like you mentioned, we don't talk about enough. You've talked about the problem. What are the possible solutions, especially with relation to this specific part of deforestation you talk about? What do you think the solution will be for us as a people and for the government?
Okay, the possible solution, I talk about it. I think the government should subsidize cooking gas and diesel so that people will reduce using of firewood for cooking and production. Secondly, the government should make a law that will stop open grazing. So doing this will go a long way, I think.
Oh, all right then. Thank you so much for calling. That was very insightful. Talked about cooking gas being quite pricey. I don't want to say expensive, so I don't come across as but it's quite pricey for many people. If that is subsidized, I do not know, because I also know that there are certain cultural practices or cultural beliefs that stop some people from transitioning to cooking gas. I'll give an example before I go back to Ayomide and Zacchaeus. As a young person growing up, when cooking gas first came into the scene, we were used to firewoods, used to kerosene stoves, and we're used to charcoals. I'm sure these children don't probably even know what kerosene stoves are. But that was the norm for us growing up. And so when the idea of cooking gas came around, the first thought I was like, this is bad. I remember the first thing mother said was, food not cooked with stove or firewood would not taste as good. I always thought that was true, because in my head, there's a special way food cooked with stove, or food cooked, kerosene stove obviously, or food cooked with charcoals and firewood taste. And some would say yes, the aroma from the firewood smoke and all of that. But we were quite hesitant to transition to cooking gas. We only did that when it looked as though cooking gas was a little bit cheaper compared to what we are used to. While again, like last caller said, subsidizing cooking gas is good, we also need to, as a people, understand that there's certain cultural beliefs that would stop people from transitioning. There are some people who would never believe, no matter how much you tell them, that meals cooked with cooking gas is the same taste as the one cooked with firewood. Even the part of my mind is saying, maybe there's a difference somewhere. Let's pick another call on the show. Unfortunately, I couldn't pick that one. And to Ayomide, if you were the president of Nigeria today, say I have a magic wand and I flip the magic wand and I say, Ayomide, you are now Nigeria's president, what would you do to address the climate change issues we have?
I will ensure laws that state that we should use less of polythene bags and plastic. Like in developed countries where there is more of paper bags.
Yes. Okay, so you develop a law that says no polythene bags, let's use more paper bags.
Yes.
Zacchaeus, what about you? What law would you, if you are going to go the law roads, what would you do if you're the president of Nigeria today?
If I was the president of Nigeria, I would encourage schools to get school buses instead of parents using cars to drop you in school, come back home, go to work. That's just wasted of money and fuel. And also, I will encourage for people to install solar panels in their houses and to reduce the use of electricity.
Reduce the use of electricity. The phone lines are still buzzing. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Your name and your location, please.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma. Your name and your location.
My name is Elizabeth from Hoshi.
Elizabeth from Hoshi, please go on with your contribution.
Climate change has been something that gave me interest this year because there was...
Elizabeth, please, before you go on, can you turn down the volume of your radio set? The feedback comes from your end. It's not so good for us here.
Okay. Climate change has been a matter that gave me much interest this year because there was more heat and the rain came much later this year than usual.
Yes.
So I decided to start a research on the causes of climate change.
Okay.
I found out things like greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, chlorofluorocarbon are the reasons why there is climate change. And also, a lot of people do not know about climate change.
True.
So then there's need for more awareness to be created for more people to know. So we also need to know that we have a role to play, not just the government, in parts like overfishing, deforestation, and sanitization of our environment. People dump refugees in drainages and the wrong places generally. But these are wrong, but many do not even know this. That's why they do them.
True.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for calling. Thank you also for taking keen interest in climate change and doing your research to understand the reasons why we are here and what we can do as a people to get better. Just to also double down on what Elizabeth said, there are a myriad of issues that we deal with as a people. But beyond just these issues, many people, like she also mentioned, do not even know their problems. There are people who you would go to right now and ask what climate change is, and they are very oblivious of it. Our job, not just as learned people or people who are interested in it, is to be able to educate them at every point we meet them. The fight for a better earth, the fight for a world where the seasons as they should be come as and when due, the fight is every of us to do. We have to put in the work to educate people. As we are planting trees, as we're doing our part as a people, we need to ensure that we carry the community along as well. So yes, Elizabeth, thank you for doing your job. And to those people who are listening to me right now, if you have people around you who have no knowledge of climate change, please take it as a form of responsibility to speak to them about climate change. There are some of the actions they do, some of the things that they have no idea are detrimental to the earth that they do. educate them. That way, we'll have a safer, cleaner, and healthier earth. The phone lines are still buzzing. Hello, good morning. Apologies there, I think I didn't pick that call early enough. Do call into the studio lines 090-5566-6699 or 081-218-77777. We're talking climate change from the children's perspective, but if you are a child out there or you're an adult, you can also call into the show. Tell us your thoughts, your opinions. What are the things you have done? You as a person. What are some of the things you've done to ensure we have a healthier earth? Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Your name and your location, please. Please, can you speak louder? I can barely hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Please, your name and your location.
I'm Rowlett Piwood. I'm calling from Jos.
Please go on, ma'am.
I just want to really commend the Ziva Community initiative for this, session of the discourse. It's so exciting seeing a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old talk so knowledgeably for their level on this topic. It's very commendable. It makes some of us know that is the future. Some people are getting ready for the future.
Very true.
They really answered the questions, to their level. They contributed well on the issues. So I commend their teachers too and their parents for helping them. And with them being there, it will make their mates, their juniors, seniors, to become conscious of this thing.
Very true.
Issue of awareness, like the light speaker said, there has to be an awareness, and the future generations are the ones that need to be much more aware, because they also have, like they said, dumping of refuse. So if now Ayomide sees an adult throwing dustbin, waste anyhow, she will be confident enough to say, "Ma, no," or "Sir, no, what you're doing is wrong." And so I just called to really commend them. They are doing it's really nice from the angle of the Ziva Community Initiative for involving these minds to speak about what they know, and then the participants themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma, for calling. The phone lines are still open 090-5566-6699 or 081-218-77777. We're talking climate change from a kid's perspective, from children's perspective. If you want to be part of the show, call into the studio lines. Today, the phone lines are buzzing. I'm sure Ayomide and Zacchaeus, they have a lot of fans already out there. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and your location.
It's Mr. John Chalon from Village.
Please go on, sir.
Though I joined the program late, but you're talking about climate change.
Yes, of course.
In this, let me just share an example, something with you. Yesterday or day before yesterday, some people came to my house. We are not telling, they said they don't understand anything. I said, this is climate change. They couldn't understand. I said, now let me give an example. I said, now, we have what we call the ozone layer there in the sky. They don't accept when you come to this place. Now, in your house, you have the house, you roof it, have a ceiling, and then the house is leaking. And then the ceiling is perforated, and then the ceiling is coiled, and then the heat from the ceiling is coming to the house. So that is what is now happening in the sky. Because the ozone layer that God put there to protect the earth has been replaced by a lot of smoke, by a lot of man activities, industrial and something. But this was just looked at me like that. So I think this thing will start with this more awareness so that people understand it is affecting its environment very badly. That's why we're having too much of rainfall here and there, acidic rain here and there, and many other things. That's just our contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for calling. Now, Ayomide, final set of questions for you and Zacchaeus. I'll start with you, Ayomide. You obviously have been taught in school, but from your friends outside of your school, do you think schools are teaching children or students or pupils enough about climate change?
Yes, I do, dear. I do think they are teaching students enough about climate change. From my own school.
From your own school. What about, do you have friends from other schools?
Yes, I
do. You guys talk about climate change sometimes?
Yes, we do.
You do. What about you, Zacchaeus?
Yes, as my school, the Padua They are actually teaching me a lot about climate change, not only in one subject, but in 2 or 3. We can just bring climate change to talk about how to help stop the climate change.
But from your friends outside of your school, do you have conversations with them about climate change?
Yes, I do. We actually play and plant trees.
You plant trees.
We talk about the bad effects
It has. Okay. Alright, the phone lines are still buzzing. 090-5566-6699. 081-218-77777. My apologies, somebody was calling before. I couldn't pick your calls. Let's go on our last commercial break. When we come back, we'll be picking as many calls as we can. And I'm asking, Ayomide and Zacchaeus what words they have for students or people like them out there who might not know about climate change, or who might know and not doing enough to hamper or stop the deadly effects of climate change. This is still Voices from the Minds, brought to you by Ziva Community Initiative. We'll be right back. On to Voices from the Minds, brought to you by Ziva Community Initiative. For the last 50 minutes or less, I think, I'll be speaking to Ayomide and Zacchaeus from here in the studio, talking to them about climate change, what it means to them, what are the things they have been doing, and whether or not they are having conversations with their friends outside of their school on climate change. In case you are just joining us, Ayomide and Zacchaeus, they plant seedlings, apples, tomatoes, and potatoes, not just for themselves, even though a part of it is like, that's lots of good food that you can eat, but it's also important that we do that for the climate, because the more trees we have, the more these trees release to us the oxygen, or the, what do you call it now, the gases that we need to have a healthier world. The phone lines have been buzzing, but we have less than 2 minutes till the end of the show. So I'll start with Ayomide. If you have a word of advice, a word of encouragement for young people out there who might be aware of climate change, and for those not aware of climate change, what would that word of advice be to children, to kids, to young adults listening to us right now?
I would tell all the children, all the young people, that they could walk or bike instead of riding their parents' cars.
You say what? Instead of riding my parents' car, it's easier to be in a car. I don't have to stress.
No, but it could affect the climate change.
So it's better for them to walk or bike. Sort of. What other advice you have for them?
Okay, they could take shorter showers.
Okay. Shorter showers.
Yes.
Okay.
They could turn off their computers when not in use, and use less electricity, like turning off lights.
Turning off lights.
Yes.
Zacchaeus, what about you? You have words of advice for them. You're standing on the stage and everybody's listening to you, and you want to tell them something. What would you say to them?
I would tell them to stop littering.
Okay.
The plastic bottles and the polythene bags they get should be used, should be kept, should be stored and used for planting. And they should actually stop using much electricity. And they should stop the burning of refuge. And a solution is to dig a hole and bury the refuge inside and cover up the hole.
Oh, so it's a better solution than burning them.
Yes.
Alright then, Ayomide and Zacchaeus have been very helpful in educating us on climate change. I'm sure many of you still want to call it and share your thoughts, but unfortunately, we are out of time. Before we go from me to every one of you out there, let us be conscious of the climate. The earth would not continuously be here if we don't take care of it. So every actions we make, or even inactions, contribute either to the survival of the earth or to the deaths of the earth. From me to you out there, ensure you take care of the earth the same way you take care of your body. Ensure you do the right things, like Ayomide and Zacchaeus have said. Don't dispose waste indiscriminately. Don't take long showers. Don't just say, I like the sound of water, so I'm going to take my bath for an hour. You actually are contributing to the detriment of the earth than to its growth. Thank you all for listening today. Thank you, Ayomide. Thank you, Zacchaeus. Also, thanks to your parents and your teachers for doing an amazing job with you as young adults, making conscious efforts to ensure we have a healthy earth and a healthy world. From me to you, stay out of trouble, spread love, and seek the truth. Adios.